My name is Tyler David, and you're watching Field of Dreams on ACTN.
Hey everybody, welcome to Field of Dreams on ACTN. I'm Steve David and I'm your host. Today I have my panel with one guest, and I'm missing two of my Dream Team panel members who is out doing whatever. I hope they're having a good time, but we here doing the job for them. So let me introduce the panel that we have today. I have Alvin Henderson. Welcome to the set, Alvin.
Yeah, always a pleasure to be here, Steve.
I have Larry Joseph. Welcome to the set, Larry.
Steve, it's always a pleasure.
And I have a guest. They call him Naja Hannibal Naja, whatever. Welcome to the set.
Thank you very much. Hannibal Najar.
Hannibal Naja.
Thank you very much, Steve.
Glad to have you. Appreciate you taking the time off to come and join us.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure.
Okay. And today we want to talk some great moments in Trinidad and Tobago football. And there is many. And we have a cross-section, but not a very good big one, because Larry is the youth here today, and that is telling you why, how cross this section is. So, youth Larry, that's good. You feel good about that, don't you?
Trust me. You just made my day, Steve.
and Hannibal, you, I know you can take us back, and you're not the oldest here. And everybody, we all about the same age, and we in that together. Okay, let's talk some great moments in Trinidad and Tobago football, because it's all about. It's so depressing right now in the state of football right now. Let's liven up the viewers. It's always nice when I run into people who says thanks for the memories. And if I knew how that felt, I feel I would have done so much better, because I would have ride that horse even harder.
Yeah.
Because it does feel good. So let's see if we can cheer up our viewers and talk about some great moments in Trinidad and Tobago football. I'll let one of you guys give me one great moment that you think that we need to bring out.
I would go back. I mean, I have only heard of and learned of the earlier time in my life of a West Indies team with personalities on that team, where I think when I look at their faces, I had known them, but I did not know of the West Indies team, and understand now why they would have made a West Indies team of football, because of who they are. And be the Willie Rodriguez's and the Alvin Cornels, and I could go on and on. There's several of them, and there I have the photo which I look at because it's a pleasure to see it, because I didn't meet and know them, but not in their playing days in that West Indies team experience. So that's a great moment to think that we had that. Coming forward using these individuals, I fast forward to them when I would see them playing for Trinidad in situations that I will go as a little boy to see in the Oval their performances. Bringing it even closer in, those same personalities now performing to the Archibalds, the Gally Cummins. You're talking about enterprising football, beautiful to watch, entertaining, brutal-like in every aspect, and passionate about it, and there was no money related to it. Now it cannot happen today, and that's understandable. And that's some of the discussions we have had before. But great moments for me as a young boy coming up is I want to be like them. I want to kick the ball like how Arthur Jack Brown could kick it from where he did. I want to strike that ball like how Alvin Cornell could kick it. And getting good results in an exciting performance supported by a massive crowd with drum beating and dud-ups and whatever. Going and seeing myself experiencing that, playing for St. Mary's College, playing for Maple, playing for Essex, that you would have a crowd support that will come to see an Essex game with Sammy and myself playing for Essex and many other supposedly ordinary players, but love the game that together we came up with championship teams. 7, 8, 9,000 people come into a game in PSA with an interest in supporting it and coming away with entertainment and good football. I played against you, Steve. You were in the police at some point. I was a Mapleite. And here I am playing against Steve David, who went away to create legendary performances with others who went abroad and made U.S. football what it is today because of participation from people like yourself. Great moments are necessary. When I see people trying to break down history in the U.S. now, politically speaking, take down things that were part of history formation, to create a sense of going forward, why we are going forward, to kick back on it, using it as a springboard. We need great moments. We unfortunately never harnessed through videos and through records. Alvin was showing me something just recently about football in Trinidad, a document. I need a copy. I want to go back and see what I didn't know that previous people wrote about. And so great moments are memories you mentioned that we have to. Your parents tell you about something of their time. You don't know it, but you become part of it. And then you carry their hopes forward by using some of their descriptions of their time for you to respect it and carry through and share it, and you build on it. How could we see a future without talking about great moments? This is an excellent topic that needs to be explored and bring it on with some specifics for different eras of great moments. I love the idea where you all brought it from to be able to talk about great moments, because I think it is the kind of thing we are trying to tell the current administration. Could you tell us a little bit about great moments? Where are you taking us without great moments? And that culture needs to be revived and shared with the young people. If you came out today to come to where I am now involved with St. Mary's College, I am going to tell them who Steve David was. They wouldn't have a clue, but they must understand what their current technical director, I'm saying about you and what you did for football. Now, here's a model for you to carry forward. So, gentlemen, I know you're going to have your piece on certain parts, great moments. I had a role to play in having Larry and those guys become part of the strike squad because of my youth, my coaching of youth teams at the national team level prior to the strike squad era. There are great moments for me. I have great memories. And I use it to go and see these younger men like Larry now, coaching and being a part of a generation that I hope we have passed something on. Generationally, we are carrying it forward positively. He is now taking the baton and doing something, and he is in turn passing the baton. Great moments, we need them. Without them, we are not going to have more great moments.
What about you guys?
Well, before Larry speaks, because I know he wants to speak about an era a little further along,
right.
I would less like to tag into a great moment in the 60s, which Larry wouldn't be too familiar with. But when Hannibal and I were played for St. Mary's College, in 1965, I was fortunate enough to be at the Oval when Trinidad was playing their first ever World Cup game. We played our first ever World Cup game against Suriname in the Oval. And what a performance by a Trinidad team on that occasion. And I remember several of the players who played there. Andy Alyoung, Alvin Cornell, Sedley Joseph, Bobby Sukram,
Tyrone
De Labastie, Selwyn Morin,
Lincoln Phillips.
Jamote.
Well, not Doyle Griffith?
Doyle, not for that? No, okay. I can't remember, not at 65.
Okay.
65.
Yeah.
But we played Suriname, and it was a huge crowd, first World Cup game. We gave Suriname a whipping in the Oval, 4-0. And everybody thought that, boy, we sure to progress on from this round. We go into the next round. Unfortunately, we went to Suriname and we got an equally large whipping by the Surinamese team, and they beat us 5-0.
Wow.
And we eventually were knocked out of the first round, and Suriname went on. But it was a great moment in Trinidad history because we were playing finally in a FIFA game where we were playing our first FIFA World Cup match. And that was in the 60s. And as Hannibal was talking about some of those names, that memory came to me. And so Larry, I know you weren't around at the time.
I was 1 year old. But thanks for the history, Doc. And I mean, you're talking about it, and I'm sitting next to you here, and I am getting goosebumps because I love to hear those stories being recounted in terms of what our history, and especially good history, is about our Trinidad football. I'm never tired of hearing these stories. I love listening to older players like yourself speak about the game when they were playing and even before that. I mean, it's an education in itself for me. I mean, those are things that are priceless to me as a former player and just somebody who's interested in these things, you know. So great moments for me in my era, seeing I was too small in 65 to be in the Oval. Obviously, I was young enough and of reason enough to remember the 1972 team with Steve that missed the qualifiers. Was it 73 or 73?
Yeah.
Right? And I remember even at that age, it was a huge excitement for me to hear that we had a team that was on the brink of qualifying for a World Cup. Right? And I don't know if I heard it on the radio commentary or if it was a commentary on the game, but I remember distinctly the fact hearing that we had scored 4 or 5 goals and this referee only allowed 1 and we lost the game, you know. And the sadness of not qualifying, of course, overtook the joy of the fact that we were playing and we were that close to qualifying. But to me, it registered as a great moment in our history because we were this far away from qualifying for a World Cup. And we did not, because of the dishonesty of an individual, not because of a poor performance. So that is an event that has stayed with me ever since.
Let me add one thing. You're coming back on it. Not only did that loss was a disappointing thing for the reasons you said, but that particular tournament, Trinidad and Tobago beat Mexico in a previous game 4-0. 4-0 in that tournament that got them into the final to play, and that debacle took place with us.
Thanks, Hannibal. And again, I read about those results afterwards. And for me, as a younger person at the time, and even so now, just reading the results and seeing Trinidad and Tobago 4, Mexico 0, I mean, that's a result that jumps out at you because we understand Mexico to be a powerhouse, not just in CONCACAF. Mexico is a powerhouse in world football. And to see our local team beating Mexico at any amount but 4-0 says volumes about the quality of the players that back in those times, you know. And then fast forward to another great moment for me is when the strike squad, similar to that 73 squad, fell at the last hurdle, you know, but the interest and the camaraderie and the spirit of the nation in 1989. I mean, even though the loss was felt deeply in our spirits and in our psyche, the other side to the game itself in terms of the togetherness that strike squad brought to the nation, right? It's almost as if for 90 minutes or probably for 24 hours, the whole nation stood still and was in unison, you know, and people forgot their differences for that short moment of time. I think that 1989 game kind of encapsulated what is possible through sports.
That's correct.
That is impossible through sports. That's why sport is such a powerful vehicle in any fabric of our society. And I think we have gone away from that so much so that's for another discussion. But that 1989 strike squad game against the USA is another great moment in our footballing history, even though we didn't qualify. And then we fast forward a few years later to 2006, where we eventually qualified for our very first World Cup. I mean, looking at the game, it was played away in Bahrain, and to see Dennis getting up and scoring that header, I mean, the joy was that I felt, the joy that I felt, the happiness that I felt. I'm sure every national Trinidad and Tobago felt it. Those that were in Trinidad and those that were looking from elsewhere, because that transcends wherever you were at that point in time. This is your country qualifying for the World Cup after so many failed attempts previously, you know. And that 2006 qualification gave a swell of national pride because we are now going to showcase our small nation at the highest level of football competition, which is the FIFA World Cup. So those are the major ones for me that we're talking about. Great moments in football, those are the major
For me,
ones.
a
for
little
me.
selfishly, Steve, that 73 team that went to Haiti. This is me, audience. I take a little squeeze of a feeling I had for a great moment for me was having to play on the final game, your warm-up game before you all went to Haiti, that I was in the Oval with this team that was getting set under Kevin Verity.
Can I ask you to
You
hold?
were there, Hannibal. Wow.
Can I ask you to hold the thought? I need to take a break, and I'm coming right back with you. Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
As a player that he later got as a coach, also included were people like Victor Gamaldo and Bertram Grell, another player who floats under the radar. Who we, from those encounters together, and this was a North-South game to open the season.
So the team might be playing well, as we always say with Trinidad and Tobago.
Futsal did that great for me.
Okay, hey everybody. Welcome to another edition of Field of Dreams on ACTN. My name is Steve David. I'm your host. Okay, welcome back, viewers. Okay, Hannibal, it's all you.
Well,
you got it.
Again, let me just go back. How could a person who has followed this game since a little boy and followed mentors, Alvin had been one of my aspiring to be like as a forward when I played at St. Mary's 14 and making the first 11 team. You have to have a personal sense of not the wrong pride, but the right pride to help you go forward and dream, a dream, you know, like Muhammad Ali will say, you know. Dreams are what you begin with, but when to get your dream a reality, you need to wake up, you know, and then you become. And I woke up as a young boy, and I knew what it took to get there. Being on that field again, on that 73 against the 73 team in their last game preparation to go to Haiti was a spectacle for me at that time. The only thing that would have been better is that I was traveling with all you. How could I not want that? And every young player out there, I say to you, have a dream, but don't think that a premonition will result in the outcome. Dream it and work for it, because nothing that you're aspiring to at a level of the highest level of competition is going to come as a handout to you. And those were the kind of memories I had coming up with Alvin and Ian Bain being the people I looked to. And today we are best of friends because of those little periods of time where we fall back on and enjoy. Seeing me on the field with Russell T. Shearer and those guys who have traveled all. I knew everybody on that team that I could speak to at that time. Kelvin Barclay nurtured me in the Woodbrook Youth League with his brother Roy Barclay. as well when I was in the Woodbrook Youth Center playing in the Woodbrook League as a little boy, and I watched them all the way through. You need those people. Sometimes the mentors are pure athletic person, sometimes they're intellectual person, but you need people to model for you. And they did nurture me very well. When we celebrated Kelvin Barkley's 70th birthday, about 5 years ago, I think it is, I went to see him, and I really hugged him and I thanked him for what he meant to me as a Malvernite and as well as a person that came down in the youth center. And Hannibal, and they will talk to you. We never knew each other, we weren't friends, I was a little boy relative. But the things they said, they were fathering us through. A dream that we have that they wanted to say, it can be a reality. How much of that today is? Our young people are caught with a different dream. Is it a dream within the computers and within the phones and within all the different distractions? I feel hurt for them. I feel hurt for them because they don't know what they're missing out on, and we are not fathering. One of the joys I'm having right now, being in charge of the football at St. Mary's as the technical person, is that I'm speaking to parents and grandparents. And they're sitting down and enjoying that their grandchild or child is now going to be helped into something that they need help in because they can't do it for themselves. A dream is a beautiful thing. And therefore, this should be not left to close out today and not have another opportunity to speak about dreams again. With more thought to it, and we're coming back with some specifics, it will be an excellent thing for people to hear. I just hope everybody understands. Keep dreaming, but wake up if you have to get to it.
Larry, during that period of time that you were speaking of, and specifically, I will be talking about the era when the team, the 73 team, did well. I specifically would like to talk about the individuals in and around that team at the time who did well. The reason being, why it comes upon me is Hannibal, by me last night, picked up a book, and we were reading a little bit about it this morning. There's a book written about black pioneers in U.S. soccer. It's written by St. Vincent author who played in the league himself. His name is Patrick Horn, went to school in Southern Illinois University, and he wrote about the black pioneers in soccer in the U.S. And in that book, I am very proud to see several Trinidadians. Well, he spoke mainly, if he had included all the Trinidadians, he'd probably take up too many chapters. But he spoke about predominantly the people who spent a significant time in the league.
The U.S. one, yeah.
In the U.S. League, the NASL, and were pioneers in the sport in the U.S., such as, and I'll talk about the people who got there first, like Lincoln Phillips, who got there first. And Lincoln Phillips, we all know, and we have said before, was the best goalkeeper that Trinidad and Tobago ever produced. And he was one of the pioneers who went up to the U.S. early to play in that league. Also included were people like Jan Stedman. Many people did not know that Jan was one of the people who went up to play with the New York Generals early, and he didn't get some of the praise as a player that he later got as a coach. Also included were people like Victor Gamaldo and Bertram Grell, another player who floats under the radar, who was a significant player from the Forest area and was an outstanding player in the North American Soccer League. But he spent quite a bit of time talking about the greats of the NASL. And the greats of the NASL that came from Trinidad were Steve David, multiple-time top goal scorer and MVP as well as Gally Cummins, also an NASL winner of championship trophies, Leroy DeLeon, and also an MVP of the league, Warren Archibald. And those were people from Trinidad and Tobago who went into a league. And as you hear, they didn't go into the league and become an ordinary member of the league. They went into the league and became a top player in the league. And at that time, top players from all over the world were coming into that NASL league because the NASL were using that as the avenue to take off into the football world. So the pioneers, the black pioneers of the NASL and of U.S. soccer, many Trinidadians were included in that group. There are many others to call, including I played for 2 years only because of medicine I had to go. Keith Acqui was another one that I could easily think of, and Jerry Brown, another one who I could think of.
Ian.
Ian Bain as well. So all of these people played in the NASL, but the ones that I want to bring out, who are mentioned in the book particularly, are the ones that made us proud. And in my opinion, even today, that as that book is bringing out, those were great moments for Trinidad and Tobago because a lot of our top individuals were the ones who brought the NASL to prominence and made it a stepping stone for football to be carried to the heights that it has in the U.S.
You guys know who my favorite team in the world is, right? No. I mentioned it in this show many, many times. That's the U.S. women's national team. And I would turn off men's football to watch them play. But my great moments here is with our women's national team in the stadium with the place sold out.
It's against Colombia. And
Right, and they had 3 chances to advance when they fell short. But to see where our women football came from on that day was something unbelievable. And if they had won, I think we'd be so much better off now in women's football, even though they pushed down to the side. They're the stepchild of the football in Trinidad because of the men. But I feel our administration don't spend enough time and money into our women's football because I think they have the best chance to go to many, many World Cups before the men's team because I think the road to that is easier for them. So, but I have to shout out the women's national team, our women's national team, because they earn that some recognition for what they've done at that stage. Now is for the younger ones who are listening. You guys need to concentrate and get on board because you have a great opportunity to make Trinidad proud.
But, Steve, Larry said something. We went to the World Cup in 2006. And after that, instead of growing, we slid. We fell on a slippery slope. I have never understood how we never seized opportunities at the youth level. We had a couple opportunities that we played at U17 levels. We hosted, we traveled on the 20 level and the national team level. And it disappears. When there's a positive energy, but you don't have the infrastructure and you don't have the mentality to appreciate what it is that you have as an engine for casting it forward for sustainable quality, which is what we need. We have had it many times. I would say that even if the women did go, and I applaud you for bringing that up because we have a lot of talented ladies in every area of this, to see that if they had gone, we don't know. It is the same administrative feeling, operational apparatus that would have just maybe given them the same fate that we've seen in the others. But you're right. And again, I think that I would think politically, whoever is in charge of the country, if they would stop for a moment and understand the power of sport and music, what it is to the young people, and a safe haven for them living the right way and creating opportunities, that is good money invested. the biggest return on investment comes from sport and music, even though the initial outlay might look substantial and a little scary, but the return on investment, where the money could be decreasing, and the opportunity and the product, the eventual product, it will far outweigh any other investment that you have. The human resource, the human being, the created human being wants to be loved and to be helped and to be believed in and to be given a sense of being strong, to have belief in themselves, to carry it forward themselves.
And I think our greatest moment, though, is when we qualified for that 2006, when the whole country went. It was like carnival, right?
Well,
And everybody talking, calling each other, and okay. And
there were so many great moments within that moment that I would like to talk about. Two of those moments. And the first of those two moments is when we were actually in the stadium, and we were sitting down, and I was in
That's
the
you
stadium.
in Munich.
Huh?
In Munich yourself, you were
in
there.
the World Cup
No,
itself?
in the World Cup. No, it wasn't, we weren't in Munich. We were
Germany.
in Germany.
Yes.
Yeah, in Germany. And we were sitting down in Germany, and we had a host of Swedish people around us at the time. And here are we, Trinidad and Tobago, an island with 1.5 million people.
5-3.
3.
Well, I'm saying
You had more,
1.5 because I think our neighbors across the way have been not accounted as much as many as we are.
No, I mean, no.
Okay. So 1.5.
1.5. At that I'm safe.
Right.
Right. And here am I saying to myself, we are among the greats in the world of playing.
And they were number 2 in the world at that time.
Yeah, and I'm saying we are among the greats of the world.
Yeah.
And to have the result that we had of that in that
Right,
game,
Right.
0-0.
my chest was bursting with pride.
Right.
With Trinidad and Tobago in my lifetime, that I saw Trinidad and Tobago, Shaka making some outstanding saves, Dwight having an outstanding game and whatnot, and Stern up front almost scoring and whatnot. Great pride in that game. And the second moment within that moment is that we were in Nuremberg, our third game, I think, against Paraguay. And we were there early, and everybody was there early, waiting for the game to start several hours later. And a band from Trinidad and Tobago started forming at the end of the street. The Lavantil Rhythm section was there, and they started playing in a spot at first. And then eventually, somebody said, let me go up the road. I don't know who said that, but that experience of people from all forms and all nations, including the Germans, stoic people who you never expect to join in, and the police trying to prevent them from going. Eventually, police said, well, go ahead and join.
Yeah.
And we in a band of thousands of people joining in and heading up the road. Trinidad and Tobago. The joy of that will always be with me, and those were some of the great moments, I think, where we spread our spirit and our joy to the rest of the world within a World Cup setting.
Right. What? Larry, go ahead. No?
Well, yeah, the doc talked about
You
a
have been
great
in a
moment
trance?
within a moment, and those are moments that also have to be captured, right? Because the game in itself might be the feature event, but there are so many subplots to the game, as the doc has mentioned. Before the game or even after the game, what goes on based on the result or the opposition or the status of the game. There are so many other aspects of it that we can speak about. I mean, if we even go back to the missed 1989 event with our road to Italy, when you look, when the game was finished, what took place in terms of those people that were in the stadium, the reaction of the players, all the players were crying. Well, most of the people in the stadium were also crying, and inside of that event, there was something that transcended the result in itself, and you looking back at it now, you're wondering if there was some of it that you could, put in a bottle that you could use at a future time. So I'm glad the doc raised an event inside of an event, because those are also very, very important. Because as human beings, we can't get away from the fact that we are not robotic, and we have an emotional side, we have a psychological side. And those are things that separates us from animals and robots and material things. And we must pay homage to those things within certain contexts, of course. But it's important to mention and to capture those times.
We need to take a break. We'll be right back. Viewers, we'll be right back after the short break.
The next morning, 6 o'clock, we got a call. She passed. My mother didn't want that to happen to me. She held on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I told her at 16,
You never want that to
I
happen.
do want that to happen to me.
My name is Tyler David, and you're watching Field of Dreams on ACTN.
Okay, welcome back, viewers. Viewers, I wish you were here with us, because there's so many great moments these guys talk about off camera. But let them tell you a few as well.
Well, I think we'll be remiss if we didn't mention the qualifications of the other teams that made it to a World Cup. In particular, I'm talking about the team under Bertil Sinclair in 1991 that made it to the World Cup in
Portugal.
In Portugal, and then the team with Anton Cornel that made it to Korea. And also our team that also played in a World Cup here in 2017. So we have played in 3 World Cups at junior level, and we must not forget that.
For me, I mean, I would like to say that an extremely, a most current great moment is being on the bench yesterday with St. Mary's College against the mega team Naparima. Here I am with a youth team, literally 15 and 16-year-old boys, wearing the stripes. And I've been involved with them now for 4 or 5 months, leading the program and having a wonderful coaching staff, Kerry Jameson and so on board, and we're working very tight on it. We were told that we were coming down here to be mauled. We were told that the Naparima team that played against Presentation in the game that we came to observe before we got into the 2 games that we had to play. Our first was yesterday against Naparima. Our third is next week, Wednesday, to play against Presentation, of whom is led by one of my former players that played for me, Sean Cooper. And belief in self is such a thing. I was telling the boys when I was preparing them, part of the preparation is the whole psychology. So I bent down on the grass at St. Mary's grounds and I picked up some grass from it. And I smelt it. And I said, you don't know how it still smells the same from 1968 when I was here as a 14-year-old to today. I want you to understand what that is doing to me. And I said this to them, it is already raising the pause here. I want you to understand what I'm trying to get you to pick up and carry with you when you go to play this team that is said, we only saw the C team against Presentation, the A team coming. We had to handle young boys that were frantically, literally scared in their minds to allay their fears. A great moment is to have lost yesterday to them in Naparima, and that's why I'm up here today, thankfully, and I'm glad to be here to be a part of this as a result, that I am able to say that Naparima won the game 3-0, 2 goals that we felt were would have left it 1-0. They were the deserving winners. And I can see why they are the premier team in it. But they didn't understand what they were up against. That was a great moment for St. Mary's College, formerly understood to be CIC, College of Immaculate Conception. Now, a new CIC is added to that, which is Colleagues in Concert. We are in this together, and that's the mindset that I'm giving these young men. And I'm helping them to understand belief in self is important, that being smart and fit will be big and strong any day. But we knew the obstacle was a really genuine Goliath for us, the David, that will come into play. But at that day, they did not walk off the team as victors. The St. Mary's young boys did. That is a great moment. And I say this to the young boys today in St. Mary's, and to be mindful of the others who were in the Naparimi team. They were gracious to come and congratulate these young men, how they performed. That this is where it starts, in belief in self and trust reciprocity between you and your coaching staff and those that are leading you. And to believe in them until you get an opportunity to believe in yourself. And it's because of love of human beings, as Larry was saying earlier, that we are not animals. We're full of emotions. We're full of some of us in a belief in a genuine, real God. And that gives us a synergy to work together. Great moments are born in the littlest of things, but remembered and spoken about truthfully to encourage people. As far as something being mentioned, I think that we had great moments under the leadership and headship of, if I could mention this, of Jack Warner. Jack Warner has brought great moments to us, but I have said to Jack in my friendship moments with him that I would have loved to have seen him not be as powerful as he became, being the head of so many things, that his concentration on things that were around him, there should have been a time when he retired from all of those things and bring it to the table, because his mind is beyond any that I have known. That if that brilliant mind of Jack Warner is put to really put a plan in place for us to be achieving the things we could have, we wouldn't be talking this way today. That is a fact. And as a result, I am saying that a few of our great moments spoken about came under his leadership, but I think that was kind of not nurtured in the way that he showed us as the father of all the projects that we are able to speak about today.
You know, my greatest moments in my thoughts now could be, not the greatest, but great moment in my thoughts now could be North-South, classic, especially Red Cross. To be selected to play for, North or South is such an experience. And then you, especially at a young age, and then you get to meet the older players, and you, like Naja says, heart is pumping, and it's crazy. It's crazy for that feeling. But the greatest is when when I sit back and I think about them, and you know what? I don't even get tired when I run in now. And in those times, you can't make it. But when you're sitting back thinking about it, you don't even feel tired. Or you never felt tired.
Yes.
You don't feel the emotions at that time. But it's so great to sit back and the thought that you put in to those moments. And it's way more fun. I don't know if for you guys, but for me, it's real fun just sitting back and thinking about those things and things that you did, and you're wondering how you ever did that. But it happened.
The sad thing, Steve, on that is that we talked about it a little earlier, is being able to share great moments with your children. But the distractions of things like computers and other things that take them away, you don't. And I think parents should parent better than we are having them today. Time away from and time to listen to and be able to have. I remember lying down on my mother's lap. I'm 16 years old and my head is on her lap and she's stroking me. I'm one of 7, but I had a bond with my mother. And I asked her a question: what is your biggest regret that you have in your life? And with tears running down my eyes, she said, to not have been by my mother's side when she died. And I said, Mommy, 16 years old, Mommy, you're not getting Mom, or whatever it is the conversation is. And I said, I can't imagine that. I don't want that to ever happen to me. Fast forward, 1999, my mother fell ill. I'm abroad with my family. I'm in hospital with surgery. I have staph infection. I couldn't travel. Then eventually I got off of my bed. I told the doctor, I have to go home. My mother is not well. She told her niece, her daughter-in-law, have the bed ready, my son is coming. We have 7, but my mother and I had this. I came in a wheelchair. I went to visit her straight at St. Clair Hospital. She was still. I kissed my mother's entire body. And I went to get my sleep. I came in late that night. The next morning, 6 o'clock, we got a call, she passed. My mother didn't want that to happen to me. She held on.
Mm-hmm.
Because I told her at 16,
You never want that to
I
happen.
do want that to happen to me.
Right.
She delivered. Great moments must be shared. And
Right.
children must respect their parents.
Right.
So give them time for them to tell them about what it is to have mothered and fathered them to where they are today.
Right. Right.
Let Brent Sancho and those guys tell you, when they were trying to chastise me as the head coach, that same team that went on the strike squad, that they were getting better meals playing for their clubs than I was providing for them on the national team. That I turn to them and tell them straight up, you are talking to me about your girlfriend or your wife, and I'm talking to you about your mother, your country. You don't know how to give back to your country. You are measuring those things. Great moments are, I hope that those guys remember those moments and will never repeat those things and walk out on your country for reasons that have no right to be in play.
You just expressed a great moment there, because normally when we played from here, and it was always here. Now I feel you guys don't care.
Well, Steve,
maybe sure.
And I would like to interject with this, and this is to the young people and the people who are playing in the game right now, and playing, some of them playing for Trinidad and Tobago.
Mm-hmm.
We can sit back now and look back and enjoy a lot of the memories that we have. Trust me,
Yep.
I enjoy many memories.
Yep.
And my memory is a good memory, and I am glad I have the recollection potential that I have, because I enjoy great memories. But while I was playing, I did not know the degree to which I would be happy having been part of a group or an individual or a team that created that memory. Because you're just playing football and you're enjoying yourself.
Right.
But at the same time, you are giving 100%. And looking back now, you are so glad, you're so happy that whatever you do in the moment in time, and this is what I tell young people, the moment in time, enjoy it to the maximum. Do your best at the time that you're doing it, because you don't even realize in the future what you are creating at that time.
Because now you, when you think about it now, you're saying, but I would even try harder.
Yes.
Just because of how
That's
they
the
play.
point you made a little earlier, yes.
Yeah, and Doc, you're
It is
making
true.
some really good salient points.
Yeah.
I think that is lost on the present generation.
Yeah.
I totally endorse the sentiments here, because they represent the same thought process and behavior that
Yeah.
I had at that time. I mean,
You know.
in the moment, your only concern is just to go there and play to the best of your ability.
Right, right.
And the only
But
thing
you're
you
creating
think,
a great moment.
but you're not even thinking
don't know
that you're
it.
going to create it, that you would look back at it. And even more so, the fact that other people who are there would be pleased and glad that they were there, because they will come up to you sometime years after and say, boy, remember?
Yes.
And then
Yes.
you'd realize at that point in time, my God, I didn't even know
Yes.
that what you were doing at that time would hold so much to a person. I mean, I'm sure it happens to all of us.
Everybody.
I'm in airports sometime and people would walk up to me and say, but you Larry Joseph? Yes. And you remember? And they would go back and I would just smile and say, my God, I really, I forgot, but I didn't know the impact it would have on the spectators at the time.
Right.
You know, and as Doc and as Hannibal mentioned, the passion of it. Of course, I don't want to compare the two times in terms of the culture we're in. We have the debate about money and no money. That's not. The fact is, I think that regardless of what era you're in, the sport should be played with the same passion. Regardless of what era you're in. The passion we played the sport in when we were players should be the same for the present guys. Money or no money. Because before there was money, there was football. And there will always be football. And I think we play the game like that. We wanted to enjoy the time that God had given us this talent and this ability to play this wonderful sport, the greatest sport in the world. And for the short space of time we played it to the best of our ability. So we could now sit on our show, thankful to Steve, so that we could have these great memories of our playing days and of our colleagues' playing days that has these wonderful times in it, that we could say that we were blessed to, if we were there to see it, and then just to be, if we weren't there, to hear about it. Yeah.
A solid, great moment in my life, coaching the under-17 team in the 80s, the late 80s, middle 80s. The Dwight Yorks and that group, I had that group for 4 years, was when I went to have a panel discussion. I invited some guest speakers to come and address the youth of the nation. I wanted them to hear more of the people that led the nation. So I had Sir Ellis Clark as a guest. I had the Archbishop Pantin as a guest. I had Uric Bob, who was an Olympian himself and the governor of the central bank, as a guest speaker, panelist, and then David Ruther. He had just won the 2 crowns. But in speaking to David about asking him to come and address it, he says, Hannibal, and he's younger than me, and he said, let me tell you something. He said, I was a Belmont boy, and I used to come and see Belmont play St. Mary's. And I used to see this little boy running about the field, and without any derogatory comments, this little white boy running across the field and playing amongst these big men. I want you to know that gave me inspiration. And I am saying, coming back to it, you don't know what you're creating. You never know whose eyes are looking and what is the impact. So we have to be on our guard all the time and mindful of it. And today I see David and he could recognize me and we could speak about it. And I thank him for being able to say that. And he thanks me for being able for him to have seen that, because a lot of his encouragement has come from little things, many episodes in his life. Sitting on Dr. Eric Williams' lap when I was 12 years old and asking him what advice he could give me. Who is me at 12 years old to be asking the father of our nation? And he says, his message was basically, put your mind into gear before you start your mouth. Take 2 steps back before you make the next one forward. And he's telling this young man that, and I'm remembering that. That has helped me today to shape me. A memory, a great moment. All of us have them, and we should document them for ourselves to be able to share it, but also remind ourselves.
Thank you. We ran out of time. Thank you guys for just sharing all those great moments with us. Thank you, viewers, for tuning in. We do check us out on Facebook, and we do have an email address, fieldofdreamstt@gmail.com. You can drop us a line. Thanks, ACTN, for the opportunity as well. The show has ended. Go in peace. My name is Steve David. Good night.